And the conversation just kind of like goes silent. I absolutely hate this man. So I know I'm going to leave. And he goes, okay, do you want to go to a bar now to get a drink? And I don't usually do this. I usually try to be polite. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to. I don't think there's anything here at all. And like no use to go on a date. And he was super annoyed and mad. And we split the bill. And, you know, he really hardly said bye and left. And then when I got home, he sent me a text message that said, wondering if I can get your email. I'd like to send you a survey I send out to girls about how the date was and how it went and how I could improve.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
Are you ready for the Unleashed Tour, where shamelessness, sexiness, and laughter collide in a hilarious orgy of fun, discovery, and sex edutainment? Embark on a captivating nationwide journey with the Shameless Sex Podcast and an electrifying ensemble of sex educators and sex-positive entertainers as they bring you an unforgettably titillating live experience. Be a part of mesmerizing, entertaining, boundary-pushing acts, shameless sex style. Ever heard of the Slurpee stick shift? Want to learn how to bury your face in her? How about some dirty talk improv or brat taming 101?
Get ready for nonstop laughter as our charismatic hosts and entertainers weave humor into the fabric of this liberating celebration of sexual diversity and freedom. Engage in interactive segments, Q&A sessions, and a chance to connect with like-minded individuals in an inclusive and empowering environment. Listen up, Portland, Chicago, Seattle, we're coming to you. For more information and to get your tickets right now, go to shamelesssex.com and be part of a night that will be fun, educational, sexy, hilarious, and shamelessly unforgettable. Seats are filling up fast, so don't miss out on the most unforgettable show of the year.
Welcome to the Man-Whore Podcast.
Shout out to the dick tuckers, to the brother fuckers, to the fucktuplets and the fuck first responders. This is Billy Procida, and you're listening to the Man-Whore Podcast. I always run out of breath at the end of that one. Is it because I'm getting old? Is it the smoking of the marijuana? I do not know, but I do know I want to say hello to you. This is my show where I host sex-positive conversations every week. This week on the pod, I've got on author Stephanie Kiser. She has a new book out about nannying really rich kids, and we do not talk about it. She's just a gal in this town with a depressingly wild dating life, and we had a killer conversation. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with her in just a little bit, Kamala in my mouth. The president went Joe bye Biden, and now the shit's going to get interesting. I'm a little disappointed we're not going to get the brokered convention. This is not a political podcast, but I'm just getting this off my chest. I thought a convention would just be a little fun. It could still end with Kamala being the nominee, but I don't know. I just thought it would be fun for us to have. I was not alive for the last brokered convention, and I don't know, when I watch like TV and movie depictions of it, it seemed exciting. Backdoor deals, secret handshakes, sound slutty. It is 2024. It is about damn time that we have a wacky aunt who likes to dance poorly as a president. Hey, let's shake those shoulders. I went to the doctor last week. I had to go get my results for my physical. Sounds like something that could be a phone call, but she said no, because we have to go over anything that's abnormal in person. So we need to schedule a visit for when the results come in. Okay, so I go in last week, and she sits down. She says, "Mr. Procida, so I need to read you the results. So just brace yourself. We're going to go through some of these." And she leans in to the computer and she scrolls and she says, she scrolls a little more and she wrinkles her brow and she says, "Totally fine." It does not make you feel real good about how you look when the doctor is surprised that internally you're fine. I jokingly said, haha, wow, really? You sure those are my test results? And she checked and then double checked. She really could not believe that me at the whatever is going on with me externally could be so good internally. And I tried to express as much at the Naked Comedy Show last week, and there was a woman who kind of went, "Aw," while other people were kind of laughing. This woman goes, "Aw." She's straight ahead of me, 3 rows back. And I did the thing where I go, "Don't go, aw," it's like, you don't feel bad, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, she seemed so earnest when she said, it's some of us like bodies like yours, which was really sweet. The tone of her voice sounded like I broke her heart, like I was questioning her taste in men. Just some of us. I said, "Do you like that type of guy?" She's like, "Yeah." I did not know what to do with that sweetness. So I think I pivoted into a fisting joke. I think that's what I did. Yes, the Naked Comedy Show last week at Hacienda. It was, as the kids say, litty. So much fun. Great crowds as usual. We had our very first surprise drop-in set. This one bought tickets for him and his friends, and so I could see him sitting in the audience. And at one point, there's a comedian, he's bombing. I gave an unpaid guest spot to a buddy of mine. I'm not going to say any names. And I was disappointed because he is funny. He's like a road guy, and I think he's very funny. But he was so self-conscious about his body. He was thinking about his own penis too much. He must have, I guess I didn't realize that he was drinking, but he must have gotten drunk because he got on stage and was struggling. I mean, he immediately gets on stage and pointed out somebody in the front row of the crowd, a very nice man who he comes to a lot of the shows. He's older, he's heavier set, and he's immediately he says something about his own dick, and then he points at this guy in the front row and goes, I don't even know where your dick is, man. I can't even see it. Which, unnecessary. That's not really the vibe of the Naked Comedy Show. There's not a lot of insulting other bodies. I think it's a little uncomfortable for the audience to laugh at someone's naked body when it's right there in front of you, especially when it's in front of you because that comedian is taking a risk or even that audience member who is naked in the audience is taking a risk that you yourself are not taking. You're sitting there with your clothes on. So you kind of have a little bit of respect and reverence for the other person's, other people's bodies in that room. So he immediately goes on stage, says something about his dick, insults this guy's penis over there. He comments on this guy being like, "You're naked, but you got a mask on. I got feelings about that. I don't know." Moving on down the line. I start to work my way upstairs to check in with the door person. And then when I come back down, he must have been in the middle or end of some bit about... I come downstairs and he says something to the effect of like, "Look, black people, come on, you can't say that you're not loud." And the crowd was not about it. I think the audience was like 15-20% black, and he was just they were not being shy vocally about not enjoying this man's set. At one point he goes, "Come on, black people, get in the crowd. Come on, y'all like me, right?" And this one woman in the back corner goes, "No." He says, "Nah, come on, man. We should all just get together after this and go to Red Lobster." And I'm like, this white boy did not just bring up Red Lobster. Oh God. So I go into the green room to get the final comedian's intro. Che Dorena, who's very funny. He's got very big on TikTok. And I'm in there, and then all of a sudden the door to the green room opens. And Jabuki Young White from The Daily Show walks in, and he looks me in the eye, and just first words out of his mouth, just, "Can I go up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, please. Someone got to save this." Even when Jabuki's in the corner, like stripping down, getting ready to go up, like I'm lighting the comedian who's bombing, and he doesn't like visually acknowledge. Like a lot of comics will they'll point at you or they'll give you a head nod or something. And it's like, I don't know if he's ignoring the light or if he just didn't see the light. The light just signifies, hey, you got like a minute or so left, it's time to get off. And so I just kind of keep lighting him and he keeps not seeing it. So I work my way closer to the stage, and he's so clearly desperately trying to find a joke to get off stage with. He's trying to get just one laugh so he can leave, but he's just not getting it. And he won't sacrifice the stage. I'm standing. Oh, at one point he says, I wasn't supposed to be here this long, but and I kind of had to shout out, "No, dude, I lit you." It's so audience laughs. He said one line that's self-deprecating that got like a little it was just enough chuckle that I could clap him off. I had to start clapping. I was like, "Okay, and this comic's name, everybody. Yeah, give it up for him." And he just so defeated gets off stage. But then I got to bring up the first surprise celebrity drop in at the Naked Comedy Show. I mean, I've never had an audience lose their shit just at me introducing a comedian. But I said, "You may know him from The Daily Show, Jabuki Young White." Everyone went, "Ah." And then fucking dude Slade did a tight 5 minutes. Slade destroyed, completely turned the room around. And then Shade Dorena went in there and closed out real strong. It was a great night at the Naked Comedy Show. I guess you never know who you're going to see drop in. I mean, you have a pretty good idea, but technically, next show is August 22nd. Even got a post-show blowjob that I only 20% expected. Before I get to my guest this week, Stephanie Kiser, let's do a quick fan whore appreciation moment. Yes, I want to give a shout out right now to a member of my fan whore community on Patreon, Steve Givens. Thank you for giving me not just your downloads, but your dollars. I tried paying my rent in downloads, and my landlord, they conferred, but then decided against. They would like dollars. So your currency helps me have currency to keep a roof over my head. Thank you, Steve. I hope you are enjoying all the benefits of Patreon membership. Bonus episodes, behind the scenes content, access to the Peep Show, secret channels in the Discord server. Damn, there's so much there. And you, too, can enjoy all that extra content for as little as $3 per month. Become a member today. Support the pod you love at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast or download the Patreon app and you can find me on there. And hey, if you're not into the whole Patreon model or concept or whatever, and you just want to give me money and you need nothing in return besides an awesome weekly podcast, my Venmo, my Cash App, those are in the show notes. Patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Become a member. Give me your money. Not all of it, just like a few dollars of it. Come on. Stephanie Kiser's on the podcast this week. She has a book. It is out next month. It is called Wanted, Toddler's Personal Assistant, How Nannying for the 1% Taught Me About the Myths of Equality, Motherhood, and Upward Mobility in America. Yeah, it's a lot of words, I know. We had a very fun conversation. I think you're going to enjoy it. A little listener note. It is still really hot outside. So, yes, you are going to, at a point here, the air conditioning did what I could. But it's a free podcast, you know? Let's go chat with Stephanie Kiser. Enjoy ad-free episodes at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast.
I have not ever seen a man's bathroom that lives alone that I'm like, I really like the status of this bathroom. Ever.
I'm going to warn you. Probably the same here.
Oh, I'm sure. I peed before I came.
I don't think... It's at his house, not a studio. She's like, I will pee before I go.
Exactly, yes.
It's not a disaster. It's just it's definitely not... I just came back from, I'm dating someone who's in Los Angeles. So I just got back.
Oh, so you don't have to shower the bathroom that much?
Well, no. The first time we met in person she was out here. And
okay.
I cleaned so hard. I took a whole day. I went, you see these little lips on the end?
Yep.
I went and I was wiping those. I scrubbed my doors.
And was she horrified when she arrived?
She wasn't horrified, but there were notes. And I'm like, I can receive this, but gosh, this hurts because I know how hard I work to still not do good enough.
No, you guys can put in a lot of effort, but it's just not always there. And I'm not even I'm not the neatest of my friends for sure.
Okay.
I'm a bit of a disaster, but I understand that, like, we have to have hand towels. There shouldn't be your beard on the sink. Like, you know, there should always be soap. But I've seen some bathrooms that I'm like, I don't know that the person could get clean in here. I'm not sure.
Anything I touch once I clean my hands to stop the cleaning process makes me dirty all over again.
Exactly. And that includes, you know, my sister's 20, I think she just turned 24. I went to her and her boyfriend's apartment a few months ago and I was like, oh my God. And they were like, I was dirty. I was hot. I needed to shower. I'd been walking around in Detroit all day. She was like, do you want to take a shower? And I was like, no. I would have rather gone on the plane. And like, I think that might just be like a young person thing. It could be mainly a guy thing. I'm not sure. But the last person I dated was very clean. And I actually thought his bathroom might have been too clean. That was also worrisome.
Oh, so you can come back around and it could be a red flag to be too clean.
Yeah, because then I'm like...
Is it too clean or just cleaner than you? Is it that you want to be the cleaner one in the relationship?
You know, I'm not sure. But now that you say this, I didn't date, but I hooked up with someone who it was just a red flag. He had serious OCD, which he had sort of said, but, you know, sometimes people say... I have OCD or I'm a perfectionist. You're like, haha, okay. He invited me over for dinner and started cleaning, Swiffering the kitchen while I was eating my steak, like mid-meal.
It's just a timing thing. It's just there's no need to do it right then and there.
You can do it after. It is okay.
But I gotta imagine a guy with some OCD is a little better in bed. You know he found the clit.
Oh, no.
No?
Oh, no. No.
He didn't scrub it like he scrubbed the floor? No?
No, I would say this might have been the worst sex I've had in the last 5 years, which is kind of saying a lot. Oh, I feel so bad. I hope he never listens to this. I don't think he will. But it was like he had never touched a woman's body ever. And it was just so strange, the whole ordeal. Like, we walked into his room and he just took all of his clothes off and then, like, stared at me and was like, your turn. And I was like, okay. And then it was just like, lay down, make out, 5 pumps. And then when he finished, he said, don't move. And I said, why? And he was like, because I need to get a towel to clean up the cum. And then, like, I was just sort of in this very still position while he cleaned all around me and on me. And I was like, I have got to get the fuck out of here.
Wait, did he use a condom?
No, he didn't. And I'm one of those people that is very bad about being like, we're going to use a condom right now. And all my friends are like, do you want to be ill? And the answer is no, but I just feel like it's very hard for me to stop everything and be like, you need to put a condom on right now. But I'm trying to get better as, I actually also recently found out that my ovaries are no longer working. So to me, it's like, well, we're good now. So...
The whole, like, getting undressed and then be like, it's like this whole, like, almost like efficiency thing.
Yes.
And he thinks, like, 5 pumps, I did great. Like, I could, if I work harder, I could do it in 3.
I think so.
And
I think so.
You would think someone like that who seems so into detail would have, like, taken time to, like, learn what to do with someone in bed.
It could be, but, like, maybe also no one ever told him. I don't know. I'd like to say that he just, you know, he had a girlfriend that maybe didn't want to give him feedback, and that's why he didn't know. But by 35, you got to know.
Yeah. But it's a good time to say I'm here right now with author Stephanie Kiser.
Hello, everyone.
She's got a book coming out called Wanted about nannying, like, wealthy children.
That was the most simple way I've heard someone put it, but yes.
Okay. What's the less simple way to put it?
Well, to be honest, I myself can't remember the subtitle, so I don't think I should.
Because it's always like maybe you got to pick the title, but the subtitle, it's always them. They're like...
It was them, and it's long. I'm like, guys, you're doing me a little dirty right now.
It's Wanted, Toddler's personal assistant, M-. So we have Wanted, Toddler's personal assistant, M-. How nannying for the top 1% taught me about the myths of equality, motherhood, and upward mobility in America. I'm tired.
It's a mouthful.
Okay.
Right?
And you're like, sure, whatever you want to put on the thing, please publish it. No, it's, yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. And so how have the dating prospects been treating you?
Terribly. I mean, I feel like this is sort of one of New Yorkers' favorite things to talk about. The dating game in New York is really bad, right? I mean, you can go on dates, but it's just... who's okay out of all the men you go on the dates with? Not a lot.
And that was just for okay.
Yeah, no,
we're not even shooting for great.
Oh, I'm not shooting for great.
No.
I mean, my great is, I would say, like 4% at this point in my life. And when I was younger, it was a little bit more fun, right? Because I wasn't in a rush. I didn't really care. I was like, oh, if I go hang out with this guy for 3 weeks and it turns out I hate him, I don't care because I'm not trying to settle down. But now that I'm older and I'm busier and I have more responsibilities, you ask me out and I hate you. And I'm like, you just wasted my night. I could have been watching Gilmore Girls for the 15th time. How dare you? I get so angry if I have a bad date now. And my friends are like, oh, like, you got to see it in a different perspective. And I'm like, shut the hell up. You have a boyfriend. That's why you're saying that. Like, it's, it's a little different when you don't have to go on these terrible dates.
Yeah, it's like, because when I hear y'all talk about it, and I'm not saying this like I'm oblivious to the possibility of what I'm about to say, but I don't feel like I've had a ton of terrible first dates.
You all say that. I asked all of you. You all say that. Or you say, what's the other thing? What's something that happened in your date that was really bad?
Oh, I mean, look, I am also aware. I mean, I could get real with you and throw down the same trump card we're both thinking of. So we'll put that one aside. Okay, I can also say, yeah, the big bad thing happened. And I'll just be like, yeah, whatever. Aside from that reality, that I like to think this listenership understands. Even the guys who are bad at dating who listen to this are aware that of the disproportionate bads usually. But I would say like I've had like meh dates where I go, I don't think I want to go on a second date. But none where I'd be like bad. And then I hear y'all's stories. And I go like, I don't know why you fuck with us.
No, I don't either. We have no choice, I guess, really, because we don't want to be alone. But I will say I've had some dates kind of like, this isn't it. There's no chemistry. I feel that. But I kind of like what he does for work. So, or he seems really nice. So like, I'll stay for the 2 drinks and that's fine. I cherish those dates. I cherish the ones where I'm like, oh, it's just not it. What I don't cherish is the ones where I'm like, are you psychotic? Like, should I alert the police about you? Those I don't cherish. The
type of guys where you start texting friends a picture to go, look, I don't know if you're matching with them too, but you should avoid.
100%.
Are you in any of these groups where like on Facebook where women
I love them. They're like reality TV. I check them out all the time. I don't participate, but I love to watch.
Have you never like what's one group that you're in?
Are we dating the same guy? NYC.
That's the classic. I've had one of those guys on the show.
Oh, was he a nay or a yay? Because once in a while you hear like a nice story on there, not for the most part.
Wait, really? There are nice stories? Like what?
Like I saw someone post someone, she was like thinking of going on a date with so-and-so, like does everyone have any tea? And there was like a couple girls that knew him. And one was like, oh, he's my coworker. One was like, oh, he's like my, my fiance's friend. And they were all like, he's a great guy. He's amazing. And I saw she went on the date and she had fun. And I was like, it's really nice. It's not what I'm there for. It's not what I'm trying to see.
You're like, looks nice. Wish it could be fucking me. Right? But he was one where there was there were a lot of complaints.
Okay. I mean,
and we came on to discuss. So wait, what's like but you've never seen a guy pop up in one of those groups for you that you've dated? I've
seen guys that like maybe I've talked to on the app that I thought was a little bit strange, but I've not had anyone that I was like dating come up, although I wish, because that would be so fun. But no. What do you remember like a story that like just sits in your brain and it's always fun to remember that you've seen in there? So my best friend did match with someone maybe like 6 months ago, and she kept sending me messages that like at first they were having a nice conversation. She kept sending me messages that he was actually 2 things just came to my head now. But so for this one, she kept sending me messages that he had sent her, and she kept being like, I don't know. She was like, I said yes to a date, but like he's getting kind of weird. He's very strange. And for a reason she couldn't really put exactly into words, she ended up like saying, I'm not going to go. And then a week later, I was on there and I saw him pop up, and it was just like 30 girls being like, he's so sexist. He's so weird. He's so rude. Also love bombing, just all of this stuff. And I had one that I had matched with that really wasn't my type, but I was in a dry spell and I just, was like, anyone who will take me out may take me out. And he was this like pretty short firefighter who was like very Italian and just like not someone I would ever vibe with really. But like I said, it was just one of those weeks where I was like, whoever will give me attention. And I'll go on these dates and then I'll be really pissed off that I hate them. So like speaking of being aware, that's something I need to work on. But I saw him in a thread, and all these girls were saying he was really weird, but they were also saying that he was really dirty. And girls were writing about having gone to his house, and it was just filthy, and the bathroom was gross, and there was food everywhere. And I was like, thank God I didn't end up in his dirty house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what's the joy for you of reading those posts as they come up? And I feel like they have a group like this like in every city, because it's not a have you dated the same guy generally. It's usually like it's like to a city.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes me feel, it brings me some comfort. I'm like, oh, we're all in this together. Like girl power. We're all having a hard time. And also some of it is just, it's like, you know, watching Bravo, but reading it on my phone. And you're just, and I think this is probably why the women on the Upper East Side will read my book. Like you're hoping you see someone you know. You're hoping you get like a little tea on someone that you don't care about too much. You don't really care if like something too bad in the dating world happened. Like I don't want to see like my closest friends on there saying that something bad happened, like someone cheated on them. But like, a coworker maybe a couple jobs ago I didn't like too much. Why not?
Okay. I assume you use mostly apps. Is that mostly how you meet people?
I don't know how else to meet people. I do not.
Being out there in the world.
I'm
hosting
out
a
there.
speed dating event tomorrow night.
Well, thanks for the invite.
I don't know. Yeah, go out speed dating. It's.
Well, I did just go to a real world event recently.
Okay.
It's new in New York. It's called Matchbox. Have you heard of this?
Describe it. I may be.
So it's actually a really cool concept. I think they've only done a few of them so far, and I think they've got some kinks to work out. But it basically is this situation where you get invited and you go, and there's you bring a person of the opposite sex. So like I brought my friend Meech, and you get a little test when you go in, and it's some sort of special algorithm, and it asks you a bunch of questions, and you scale them 1 to 7, and then the software does its thing, and it matches you with the person of the opposite sex who you're most compatible with, and that's your date for the party.
Okay.
The thing is that they haven't done it by like ages yet, so you could be like 20 to 45-year-olds. So,
and you only get one date for the night?
Yeah. So if you match me with a 20-year-old, I don't care how compatible we are.
What use do we have for each other past one night?
Nothing.
Nothing. I don't know.
I don't personally think my standards are too high.
If anyone hasn't picked up on that yet.
Yeah, I don't think they are. I mean, so the thing is that if I don't think we are compatible, like lifelong partners, a lot of my friends will be like, well, even if I don't see this like going somewhere, they'll date them for a year or two. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I will give it probably 4 months. And if at 4 months I feel like I can't see my life with you past this fun having sex and going to movies, then it's done. Like I'm not gonna, because it's so much time and it's so much energy and it's so much effort. But yeah, I mean, I think for what I'm looking for, I don't have a crazy thing about height. I know a lot of the girls do. I want you to be taller than me, and I'm 5'7". So, on the apps, if you guys say you're 5'10", you're probably 5'8". So we're going to be the same height. I do have some things that are deal breakers. I want someone who is fairly liberal, maybe moderate, because I am open to, my family's very conservative. I was conservative for most of my life. And so I understand where that can be coming from, but do I want to raise children in this environment with someone who is conservative? Absolutely not. Just no chance. So, and plus I think it's a little different now. Like the things that I really believe and like the ways I want the world to be better are sort of tied to politics in a way I don't think they were before.
Mixed politics used to be cute.
Yeah.
The stakes were were a little different for like a cishet white chick. Like it would be it's like whatever, but now it's like it's really important.
It's super important.
Yeah.
It really is, and I don't want to ever I don't want to be with someone that I have to wonder if there's an administration that's taking away women's rights, like, is he going to come with his daughter to a protest. I don't want to wonder, like, when I need to get my kid vaccinated, are we going to have a fight about this? Like, those are not things, especially being a nanny and seeing, like, how much children, like, absorb the people they're around in those first few years. Like, I don't want to mess around with that. Like, having kids is hard enough, so I need us to be fully on the same page for that. And I also just want to, you don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be making a ton of money.
Okay.
I want you to have a job, for sure. I want you to, be an independent person, but I don't feel like, I have to date someone who's like a VP at Morgan Stanley. I probably don't want to date a VP at Morgan Stanley. So
Yeah, that whole song that they're singing, it's like, that's
Yes.
a terrible guy.
that's a horrible guy. I'm never going out with that guy.
6'5", finance,
Yep,
with the
blue
trust
eye,
fund?
yes.
With the trust fund?
Right?
Horrible human being.
Like, you're going to hate your life.
Yeah.
Or maybe you won't. I don't know. But that's not for me.
Without the trust fund, maybe he built some character as a poor kid growing up.
Yes.
No, with trust, no.
No.
Terrible idea.
No, he had the best life ever. He's Donald Trump. You're going to date Donald Trump. But yeah, and I want to date someone who's kind and funny. Like, I go out with a lot of guys that just, like, are not funny at all. And I think they are annoyed that I like to do jokes, and they're like, ew. And I'm like, no, ew, you. You're so lame.
Look, someone's got to be funny here.
Yeah.
I tried to let you be it, and it wasn't you.
And at least like, understand humor. Like, be able to hear a joke and be like, oh, that's funny. You don't have to make them.
Yeah, that's still participating. Yeah.
No, they don't do that. So, yeah, that's another thing. And it's really important to me, like, if we're, walking through the subway and you see an old lady, like, struggling to carry her cart up, I want you to go over and be like, can I help? A lot of people won't, actually. I'm starting to realize, even like my friends, I'm like, guys, you got to be nice. And I don't think that crosses.
Well, they're thinking, I think some of them are thinking, well, I'm not trying to fuck her.
Yeah.
So why would I help her?
Why would I help her? Why? Right?
That's a nice thing to do. But we're going to miss our train. There'll be another one. It's okay.
There will. There really will. Exactly.
Well, we're going to be late to the new Bad Boys movie if I help this lady for 15 seconds.
I help this 92-year-old woman who's about to pass out on the stairs. I will miss bad. That's like what everyone's thinking, which is crazy.
There is something about, it's not the old ladies, but like, I'm talking like the 30, 40 something, like Hispanic ladies who are selling churros.
Yep.
Like, I'll ask, like, do you need help with the big cart? And they're like, I fucking got it. And she's got two kids hanging off her neck. She's like, no, I'm good. I'm from Queens, bitch. And she just deadlifts the whole cart.
But you know what you ask? Sometimes they don't want help. And it's true. She's carrying that cart up and down every day. And she's like, F you, I don't need help. But like
this is my gym membership. Don't take that from me. So but you should ask.
Yeah.
I think there's something just about showing consideration for others when you don't have to, right?
Yes.
It's when you're not trying to get something like sex out of them. You're not trying to get something. You're just doing something
You're just
that's
being a good
good.
person. Yeah.
I think it shows consideration for others.
Exactly. And so I guess that's what I'm kind of looking for. When I'm like with someone for a few months, I'm like trying to get a read on these little things.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I often find they're not going to do any of the. I know a lot of guys will be like, oh, but I would do it for my buddy. And I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about from like the goodness of your heart, just helping.
Wait, you brought this up with dudes?
Oh, I will bring this up with
and
dudes.
they will argue the point against?
Yeah, I dated a guy when I was a nanny.
Sounds like the kind of guy who in high school on debate was like excited to like argue for Hitler's side, just for like devil's advocate.
Yes. Well, listen, he did work at Morgan Stanley, so oh no, I'm sorry, he worked at Goldman. But yeah, we had this argument a couple times where it was like, well, I would do something nice for my friends or my sister or whatever, and I'm like, but that's not what we're discussing. Like, you need to be a good person in the world for me to be like, I want to bring other people into the world with you. And that,
What's their argument against? Or
they don't know them.
You know?
They don't have to. They were busy. They were in a rush. Their back hurt. His back always hurt. Everything that ever happened, it was because his back hurt. We literally once were having sex, mid-sex, and he was like, hold on, I just got to get some Advil for my back right now. And I was like, you are 28 years old. I mean, what's going to happen in 40 years? You'll just be dead. That's the only possible outcome.
I just power through. I'm like, I've got The cramp will wait.
Yes. You don't want to embarrass yourself. You don't want to be like, I need an Advil right now. Do that on your own time after, but don't do it during.
Plus, I'm going to stop, go get Advil, come back, maintain an erection the whole time. No, it's good.
Well, my erection was gone. I'll tell you that much.
It's like drive. So we got 5'9" or 5'7" with lifts in the shoes, maybe, if we want to lower the bar further. Okay, so 5'9", reasonable. Funny or can laugh at your jokes.
Yeah. One or the other. Preferably both.
Some kind of employment. And like a general empathy for others he's not having sex with.
Yeah. So I don't think that's too high. I actually don't think that's too high.
either.
I think something that happens with people is they start to think like, well, this doesn't affect me. So like, and it doesn't affect anyone I know. So why do I care about how politicians do things with this? And I want you to care about people either way.
Yeah. Like, I don't want you to wait for us to have a trans kid to get on board.
Yeah.
Because there's so many who will be like, I wasn't until mine. I'm like, I'm glad you're on board, but Jesus, we could have used you a while ago.
But you also have to worry, like, will they get on board? Like, if
you don't want,
you don't know. And I never want to be in the situation where I'm trying to, keep my trans kid from going through this on their own and trying to like convince my partner to support them in something that's already really hard. And you just don't know. Like, look, I think most people come around.
What would you say is the most unfuckable opinion you can remember hearing on a date?
Oh my God. Oh no, I've got one. I went out with a guy last winter, and he was atrocious. He was just atrocious human being. He was strange. He was, as soon as I got there, I got to the restaurant and he had picked a restaurant right next to him a Thai place he goes to all the time. And, I'd like for us to pick something a little more mutual, but whatever. It was on the other side of Astoria, so it wasn't a big deal.
The other side of Astoria?
Yeah.
Lady, look, you already got a guy in Astoria.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, I'll go to you. You know what? It was a 25-minute walk, fine. But he gets there, and it was just very, like, it was clear we were going to have nothing in common, but he didn't want to order drinks. And as soon as he sat down, he was like, I'm getting the pad see you. And I was like, oh. Okay, I guess I'll and he like waved the girl down. He comes and we order really quickly and didn't say like, do you want to get a drink? Nothing. It was just like, time to order food is my favorite restaurant. Okay. And then he, we're having a really hard time in conversation. There's not much going on, but I was thinking, I live in Astoria. He lives in Astoria. Let me find out like what he lives near because maybe there's some restaurants or some cafes that I like. So I said, oh, where exactly do you live over here? And he looked at me like dead in the eye and was like, why do you want to know where I live? And I was like, what? And he was like, I am a cinematographer. I have a lot of expensive equipment in my house. I cannot give out my address.
Bro.
I wasn't trying to come into your house, man. I'm just trying to figure out if like we like the same Greek place next door. Ask if we, if shared the same shrimp dish before. I was like, okay.
It's the same guy who like is like the finance bro who won't show his like face pictures on a dating app because he's like, no, I have a really important job and I can't risk what? It's a date. We're all doing it.
We are all doing it.
You can't get fired for fucking at Goldman. I think you can get fired for not fucking at Goldman.
You may.
Yeah.
That could be there.
So he's like, don't rob my fucking.
Yeah, okay. He wouldn't he wouldn't tell me where, and I was just like, all right, whatever. We're really reaching at straws for things to talk about, and so at one point I was like, have you seen any good movies lately? And he says, well, it's a funny story. Last time I watched a movie, I actually broke up with someone. And I was like, oh. And he's like, yeah, I actually had, it's crazy. I had 2 girlfriends at the same time. And I was like, oh, that must have been really hard for you. And he was like, yeah, like it just turned out that like the one that I was watching a movie with found out about the other one at the same time. And I was like, oh, but it's okay because like I'm not super serious with either of you, but we were exclusive. And I was like, well, you weren't exclusive because it was 2 different things. And the conversation just kind of like, goes silent, and I'm just like digging into my food, trying to get it down as fast as I can so I can get out of there. And he all of a sudden goes, yeah, you're really lucky that you made it into my Hinge profile. And I was like, why is that? And he's like, oh, I usually don't date girls as old as you. And I said, well, what do you date? And he goes, oh, I usually, only date girls under 30. And I said, you're 42. And he was like, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, normally I wouldn't date a girl who was 32. I was just like, okay, I got to get out of here. So we finished the food. I absolutely hate this man. So I know I'm going to leave. And he goes, okay, do you want to go to a bar now to get a drink? And I don't usually do this. I usually try to be polite. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to. I don't think there's anything here at all. And like, no use to go on a date. And he was super annoyed and mad. And we split the bill. And, he really hardly said bye and left. And then when I got home, he sent me a text message that said, wondering if I can get your email. I'd like to send you a survey I send out to girls about how the date was and how it went and how I could improve.
If I thought I wouldn't have such a reaction to the survey if I thought that he would do anything with the feedback.
Definitely not. I have no faith in him. I have no faith.
I love the idea of a guy who's like, yeah, maybe there's ways I could do better, but he doesn't. He wants confirmation that the date was awesome, and if it wasn't, he goes like an outlier. It's actually all outliers. It's very strange.
Yeah. I feel
Statistically
like
impossible that this many women didn't enjoy my lucky presents.
Yes.
I can't imagine, because I always think like if I was interested in someone, I think of it as I was lucky to get matched with them. Not, I don't think most people are lucky to be matched with me.
But also, you match with someone because you're interested. You're like, oh, we're compatible. We could be equals. Like, this is someone I'm interested in her. She's interested in me. What does that even mean? What does it even mean to be like, you're lucky?
He's instantly putting himself above you, and also at a point in time of the date where clearly he seems to think it's going well.
If he truly thought that was going well, I'm deeply concerned. Like, he's going to take a class or something.
Does this sound? My theory is that there's a lot of guys who will be on a date. I mean, you alluded to this in the beginning, where it's the guy thinks this date's going really well because he's interested in you.
Yeah.
But they're not even thinking about, is she having a good time with me?
You know what? That's probably what happens a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I feel like I can tell. I mean, you tell me. Like, I feel like I can tell if a date is going well. Like, maybe not as much when I was younger, but now I can usually get a read on, is this person interested or not? Are you able to?
If it's going really well, and I mean mutually going really well, I could totally tell, because the conversation's usually nonstop. Yep. I mean, I'm also pretty hyperverbal. I hold space for the people. Like, do you watch Bridgerton? No. Season 3, they got a nice little, like, not super verbal, clearly two autistic people fall in love with each other. Okay. They don't talk much. The guy comes up, he's like, may I join you on this bench where we were both just stare out silently? And she's like, yes, that sounds lovely. And they both just sit there not talking, looking at different things out in the ether.
That's my nightmare.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah.
But like, I'm glad that that's there for them.
Yeah.
But for me, yes, it's like there's going to be a lot of chatter. Maybe there's going to be some of this like little soft physical touch exploration of like a hand, an upper arm, something like that. Eye contact and smiling.
Yep.
You know, also, I don't like doing first date at dinner. I don't like it.
I don't either. It's actually a lot of pressure. I'm always worried some things in my teeth. I don't really know what to order. What's the easiest thing to eat?
Someone's job is to interrupt us constantly.
Yeah.
A bar, like having drinks, even if it's like, even if it's coffee. I just I like something like that.
Coffee.
It's easy. It's low stakes. And if it's not going well in an hour, I can leave in a simple process. If it's a dinner thing, we got to, even if we want to like bolt, we got to now stop and get a check. We got to do math. No, thank you.
So what's your number one go-to for a first date?
Like drinks, whether it's a bar or coffee. Go-to. I'm down for like a walk. I don't know.
I don't like the walk one.
I can do that. I think during COVID, I had to like become like comfortable with the idea.
Yeah.
Anywhere where we can just talk a lot, I'm game.
Yeah.
If it's a movie, I want to go do something before the movie.
Yeah.
Because like I don't want to sit in the movie. Because there's the other thing. You go straight to the movie. You're sitting there. Do I hold hands? Do I not hold hands? Do I do an arm?
First date.
At least if we like got like an hour at a bar first, I have an idea of like what physicality I am or am not going to do during the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just want something where we're going to talk somewhat uninterrupted.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. After that, I'm game for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of guys that are just not. It's again, it comes back to that empathy and thinking about other people. Is it not just, am I interested, but do I think she is interested, because I don't automatically assume I'm God's gift to this fucking country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think that most guys probably assume that the date is going well.
Do you feel, do you get hopeless at all?
Oh, yes. Not when I was younger. Now I've had a couple of spells where I've just been like, I'm not going on the dates. I'm not doing it. It's too miserable. And I'll take like 3 months off or a couple months off. I've not been on many dates this summer. I mean, part of it is I've just been busy. Like, I have a day job. I've got the book coming out. So that's it. But like, also it's just like, I don't want you to ruin my day. You know, I don't want to go on. But then it's like, I don't know. It's a lose-lose because I don't go. And I'm like, good. I didn't go on any bad dates today. And I had this great night with me and my dog, and it was awesome. But then I'm like, well, everyone else has a boyfriend, and I keep having to go be the third wheel on all these things. So, it's a back and forth. I think ultimately you got to just keep trying. It's kind of a numbers game, right? Like, one of them's going to stick.
Yeah, I also think, but when it comes to numbers game, I think that we've all like really gotten comfortable with that mindset in the age of the apps.
Yeah. Because
you can do so many in such a short period of time, but you can go through so many in a low quality way. Whereas, and I think there is a rush. Like I've been emceeing speed dating events for years, even pre-COVID, and I've never seen them packed like they've been packed the last like 8-10 months.
Tell me about the guys that you see at speed dating.
Okay, well, it's not about that. It's not about that. Think of it this way.
Okay.
If they all suck, the whole thing, though, depending on how many people showed up, let's just say the actual speed dating portion, let's call it 75 to 90 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. That's the length of maybe a bad date where you believe in yourself enough to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of stay for 3 hours, right? Which I encourage everyone to do.
Yeah.
If you should always give it an hour, but after an hour, if you know there's nothing, you can go.
It's okay.
You're going to hurt someone's feelings, and that's okay.
And they'll be fine.
They will be fine.
Yeah.
So think of it this way. Even if everybody sucks, you basically took up the time of one bad date to have 20 bad dates.
But have you emceed some that you've been like, I see a lot of potential here?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have many faith in any one man, including myself. But like generally speaking, they're just, because I mean, one of the things I would nitpick the guys on, besides the general things we nitpick men on, is so many dudes will show up to that not dressed like they're making a first impression.
What are they wearing?
And I say this as someone who almost exclusively wears t-shirts and jeans, who did not dress up for this interview.
Okay, that is correct.
I am. There's a lot of. I've been gone for a week. There's a lot of laundry to be done.
Yes.
They'll just wear like t-shirt and jeans, and like not even like the nice t-shirt.
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say, is it like a nice Madewell t-shirt?
You can make a t-shirt and jeans look look for the day, but it's like dress up nice because again, this is not even real first dates. These are first impressions. So you got 3 minutes. Look kind of good for that 3 minutes.
Yeah.
However, looking good feels to you. Even if you wear t-shirt and jeans all the time, if you just throw on a fucking like flannel long sleeve shirt over it and keep it open, you're layering. Good job. There's an improvement.
It's effort.
Yes, because now it's like, oh, he didn't just throw on a shirt. He threw on 2 shirts. He had to kind of think about it.
Yeah.
So just try a little bit. But I see a range of quality of the men. I see a range of quality of the women. I'm gonna throw it out there too. But
no, this isn't just, we're talking a lot about what men could do, but like, I've got some girlfriends that are terrible daters that I'm like, I would never date you. Yeah. I think you're also problematic, So it's obviously on both ends. And look, I'm sure someone could come on this show and tell you that I was a nightmare. I thought of going to them, and I'm just always like, I wonder if there's any normal dudes who go.
There are, but there's also weird dudes. But there's also weird women, and there's also normal women.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of women I wouldn't want to see on a speed date either. So I get that.
Yeah. But I think some in-person stuff is like, I think you can get a more quality swipe out of it.
Yeah. I think so too. Because there's a lot of people I've matched with and we've maybe messaged for a week before we've gone out. And I'm like, for sure, like we are going to hit it off. And then I get there and it's like, ew, we have nothing in common. So I think there is sort of like, because you can be anyone, right? Virtually. And so sometimes like the conversation moves really great and it's awesome and you think, but you just get there and there's no in-person chemistry at all.
Do you ever get the like, there's great chemistry on the date, but then you get home with them and the sexual compatibility is just way off?
Yes. So actually, one of my exes that I dated for a while, like as a person, we had like so much in common, and I like loved hanging out with him, and everything I just described to you. He was actually a little shorter than me, so that was the one thing. But everything else I described to you was it, and it was just the worst sex I've ever had, and it never got better. It was just like I would get upset at the end of the night because I had such a nice night, but I'm like, fuck, now he's gonna touch me.
And what's so bad about it?
It was like very fast and frazzles, like a bull in a china clothes. It was just terrible. Even like the making out though, I was like, I want it to end. It was the oddest thing. And you know, we dated in our mid 20s. So like it may have been that he just like wasn't there yet. But he was so lovely to date, and he was so wonderful. And we actually just dated for a couple of months recently this year. And sort of the same thing. Like we hung out and we had so much in common, and he was great. But when I knew him in my mid 20s, he was sort of lost, and he was like, he had just got fired from his job, and he was like looking for something else. He wasn't sure what he was going to do. Like all of his friends had girlfriends. He didn't. And so I kind of felt like, he was super into me. Like I was like something that he was really excited to have. And then this time around, like it was very different because he had a girlfriend for a few years, and he got a really good job, and he was making like well into 6 figures. He had this like gorgeous apartment in Williamsburg, and he wasn't that nice anymore. Like we still had a ton in common, but like it was very much like before he would go like crazy to like make sure that I had like a great date or whatever. And now it was sort of like, you're lucky you're at my house. But I will say he got really good at sex.
Oh, good for him.
So it didn't work out, but I was like shocked to my core the first time we hooked up, because I was like, who trained you? What happened?
Hopefully the ex-girlfriend, was able to put in some notes.
She did. I will say, good work, sister.
She did a service
to the
for
world.
The other women.
Yeah, because whoever he does end up with will find that, you know, he's a little bit full of himself now, but he knows where everything is. Yeah. And that's great.
That's so funny. And long term, what are you looking for? Do you want marriage, kids, all that stuff?
I don't, marriage, I like don't feel anything on. I think it's like like, here's the thing. Like I am a fully functioning independent person. Like I don't need someone to like pay my bills, or like, I can order TaskRabbit. I don't need you to do any work around that. Like, I don't need someone for that. Like, I want a partner, like someone to enjoy life with. So marriage to me is like, we can do it, we cannot. And I do want to have kids, but I think, and everyone's always telling me like, oh, you can have kids on your own, whatever. You can, but like, I kind of already had kids on my own for like my job. I don't want to do it again. So I think like, I want a partner who wants to raise kids in the same way that I do. But I don't know. I'm not feeling super confident at this point based on what I've been seeing out there.
Do you ever think about like what's the game plan for another 10 years of disappointment? What to do after? Do you become I
think I just get like a lot more dogs.
A lot more dogs.
A lot more dogs. No, I mean, look, it's not the end of the world, right? Like I have plenty of friends. Like I'm going to be an aunt. My sisters are definitely going to have kids. They have partners. They're like 8 years younger than me, but they're like basically engaged. So there will be.
You're not bitter at it at all?
I'm not bitter at it too much, but it's just like, how? Like, I don't understand, because I feel like sometimes what happens is I'll start to be like, do I not have enough to offer? Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, maybe I don't have anything to bring to the table. And that's when I sort of get kind of down and frustrated, because I'm like, I feel like I do. Like, they don't even have jobs yet, so what's going on? But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. What is the game plan if it really doesn't work? I don't know. I think you kind of just sort of, like, find new happiness, right? Like, okay, I don't find a partner, so, like, I'm going to travel a lot. Or I don't find a partner, so, like, I'm just going to buy an apartment and decorate it exactly how I'd like. But are those the things I ultimately want? No.
Well, I mean, because like I think there's some older women whether I've hooked up with them or whatever, it's I don't know if the whole lifelong partner thing's going to happen, but like some of them went, I'm going to make sure I have, I don't let anyone in I'm going to have like, they end up like having like a stable of lovers where they have like a high bar for competency.
I don't think I
whatever
could do that.
whatever it may be.
I just told you I get rid of them at the 4-month mark if I think it's not going to work. So I don't know if that's not going to happen for me. Like, I'm a little bit of a dreamer though. So like, I still, even when I'm like discouraged in the back of my mind, I'm like, it just hasn't worked out, but it's going to work out. So until that part of me is like dead, I think I'm in okay standing.
How do you feel about guys going up to hit on you in person at things like a coffee shop, at a bookstore,
Why
a
haven't
park?
I? Will you? Like, that like just doesn't, it like really doesn't happen. I'm trying to think like,
I think, well, because right now in the present day, and I don't think the guys who are quote unquote scared of the consequences of hitting on women in public, I think some dudes go a little over the top with like, you can't do anything anymore.
Yeah.
It's not true, but
you can do things if they're acceptable.
I do think there are dudes who are, I read online from dudes who do seem sincerely nervous to approach women in public. Almost as an overcorrection for, I think, what the last maybe decade of online, criticism has been, which is, oh, you're bothering me while I read my book, or hey, I didn't say I wanted to talk to you. So, but you're saying, come talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think society has gone too far, and I think that's a little bit on us. Like, sometimes guys are making us uncomfortable, like, for sure. Like, if I'm walking home from the subway and you are with a group of 3 other dudes and I'm alone, it's 11 p.m., don't say things to me. Don't, like, catcall me. Like, that's when I feel unsafe. I will never, ever, ever will feel unsafe if a guy comes up to me while I'm writing on my laptop in a Starbucks and is, like, trying to chat. Absolutely not. I might not be interested, but I will not be offended. I will not feel weird. Like, I wish I would meet someone. If you're listening right now and you fit what we were just talking about, like, come find me in Astoria. Not literally, don't come to my house. I won't like that. But like,
Do you have a lot of cinematography equipment at your place?
I have so much. We do not ask my address.
I stole it from the other guy. I think there are guys. I mean, look, they're the guys who are going to see something shitty when they walk up to you, and they're the ones complaining. I see another sect of guys who seem sincerely nervous. Like,
I can see why they feel that way.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I can see why they feel that way. I mean, I think that there are guys that now just like want to be gentlemen and they want to be stand-up guys, and they're like, ooh, but what's not offensive?
Right.
Well,
we've all just, as a society, we just learned that, oh, maybe the stand-up gentleman guy actually isn't so stand up as we thought.
Yes.
So what stand up? We don't have a lot of archetypes for it anymore. I don't think we have a lot of like templates to fit into.
Yeah.
Or those templates are being morphed a bit and adjusted. And so I think right now there a lot of people going like, I want to be the thing. I just don't have the example to look at. But I think if they would just follow their fucking consciences and like maybe their mother was overhearing them, maybe they.
That's a great way. I think that's what you should talk to a girl. Like if your mom's listening.
Yeah. And I mean, lucky for me, my mom real fucking loose with it. So I can.
I'm wondering. I'm wondering what you're.
Almost inappropriately. So sometimes she'd be like, let me tell you about what I read about. I'm like, I don't know if I need to hear.
I'm good.
But I'm glad you're doing so. I walked in on her once, like many years ago. I walked in, I went to go home and I walked in the door and she's just on the couch reading The Ethical Slut. And I'm like, that's great, but like I also know in the middle of that book there's a lesbian orgy fisting scene, and I don't want to be around when my mom gets there. Yeah,
but at least she's like really supporting your platform, right? She's like, I want to be in on what he knows about.
Oh yeah, we've gone Bobby on board with like sex work decrim. Like she's game.
Okay.
I sent her one article and talked to her for 10 minutes, and she's like, yes, they should be allowed to work safely. Yay, Bobby.
Honestly, good for her. I like that she's she's so supportive of you.
Yeah. I got some questions for you in my Ask the Guest channel. Is a patron only channel in my Discord server, the Champagne Room. So these questions, if they're no good, wasn't my idea, and if they're good questions, I wish it was.
I was
my
just going to
idea.
ask you. I was like, how did they find out?
They have to be in the Discord server, and they have to join my Patreon for access to this channel.
Okay, so please do that if you haven't, everyone else.
Yeah, it's $3. Do I not deserve $3? Give me. It's
maybe
$3.
$2.
Maybe it used to be $2, but I raised it recently for inflation. Yeah. Ad-free episodes. Come on. Okay, so Pico the Gallo wants to know, from her perspective, how does serious money change how people view parenting? I know we're doing a hard shift, everybody. Just to
Yes.
remind you, she's a babysitter. She's been a full-time.
We don't like to be called babysitters.
I'm sorry.
No.
Nanny?
A nanny.
It is nanny. Okay, sorry. I didn't think that would be the most offensive thing I've said.
Yeah, that really is.
Right?
You should think about what you just said.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is that you can offload parenting a bit, right? So more money you have, the more babysitters and nannies and housekeepers and chauffeurs and coaches and tutors, au pairs, you have all the things. So, and the higher you get, so like, the 1% really can pick out what we call a designer nanny. So they can, one of my bosses, she's super brilliant, and she was a really powerful female lawyer at a huge law firm, and she worked all the time. And what she wanted was a nanny that sort of could be a stand-in for her, so that her kids were still sort of getting her exposure all day without her actually being there. So she was looking for like a college-educated, young, fit nanny who had similar beliefs and values as her. So that's kind of what my role was. My role was to be her when she wasn't there. And a designer nanny is going to cost you 6 figures. So the more money you have, the higher quality of stand-in care you can get, and the more care you can get too. Like I worked for someone who had 3 nannies for 3 kids. So
each kid got a nanny?
Each kid had a nanny. And they got that individualized one-on-one attention that other kids just can't get. So I think that's the main thing, is that you don't, it's really hard to be a parent, but when you have money, you don't have to be a parent all the time.
Mm-hmm. Tracy wants to know, what is one of the worst experiences you have had being a nanny, i.e. the kids, the rules of the parents, or one of the myths of equality? I don't know what that last part is. Have you heard of the phrase myths of equality?
That was part of the subtitle that you read.
Oh, right. Sorry, that it was just so long.
But as you know, I hardly remember that too. So I'm going to stick with the first part of the question.
Yes.
Worst experience I
hope it's good SEO. I just hope all the shit they shoved into a subtitle was good SEO.
I hope it. Yeah, I hope the readers love it. Okay, so I worked for a woman that I write about in the middle of the book, who she was a pain in the ass. She was just so neurotic, and like she really was one of those people that just felt like she was much better than everyone else because she had money. And I mean, you'll read the chapter and you'll be like, how did she not punch this woman in the face? But she wore Chanel shoes like every single day. She would like have me take her like Chanel flats to the cobbler. And on a day that she actually had me do this, she had her 5-year-old son, like he was potty trained, obviously. He was really, really smart, but he just pooped his pants whenever he was in a bad mood. And she made me in the sink scrape the dried poop out with my hands. And then came in and criticized how I was scraping the shit, and like verbally abused me for like 10 minutes about how my poop scraping was not up to standard. And this was sort of just like the everyday.
And that was on your resume. You didn't put poop scraper. It's not like you were dishonest with her.
No, it's on my LinkedIn. Oh. No, I
remember
never...
everyone laugh at the joke. That's the... Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I heard them. They were laughing. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it was just sort of like very, like dehumanizing, like the way in which she like treated me and talked to me. And it wasn't specific to me. It was sort of like anyone around her. Like she one time had people come to do maintenance. She had this like gorgeous house in the Hamptons. They came to do some work on it, and she, they were there for like 10 hours renovating her house. And one of them asked to use the bathroom at one point, and she told them to drive 20 minutes into town and use Starbucks bathroom because she didn't want them using her bathroom. And this was just like the everyday there. So there were definitely moments where...
Do you call her a cunt in the book, or do I have to?
I think that's on you.
Okay.
No, everything about her was bad. Like no one is, most people aren't fully bad. I had some okay moments with her, but for the most part, it was like a very... And her son called me Fat Stephanie every morning when I came in.
Oh, she was one of those. She's those cunts who raised a brat.
Yes,
she raised a little cunt.
And that's what I'm saying. Like they absorb what they're around, and he like really had. And every single morning he would greet me, "Good morning, Fat Stephanie." And she had a no discipline philosophy, so I would just have to be like, Good morning.
Do you get to say mean things back to him?
No.
No.
Oh my God, no.
Her little prince?
No,
Never.
No.
Oh my God, that's fucking horrid. And Blaze wants to know, was there a trait, or actually I had this question. Did you ever have like boss? Do you call it a boss? Like the parents? What do you call them? You call them bosses?
Yeah.
You ever have a boss make a pass?
No, I mean, look, I did babysit for quite a few people that like had a very like well-known names. Like they had a mistress. Everyone basically knew. They'd like support. So there was like, I always knew when other people had things going on, like my bosses, like if they were having affairs or whatever. I didn't. No one made a pass at me, but I had like a very inappropriate time during COVID with my last two bosses. So they were, and I say this like in a funny way. They were pretty young. I think I don't know, at that time, I guess I was 28 or 29 and they were 37. So we were like fairly close in age. And look, COVID happened and this was the kind of job where you didn't work from home. Like you just moved in with the family.
Oh,
so
wow.
we went to the Hamptons and I moved into their house. So for 3 or 4 months, I just spent every single day with my boss and her husband. And there were times that like my boss had to work late. So like me and her husband would be like downstairs watching Lost for 6 hours, or like, at one point, a couple of my friends came to visit and my best friend hooked up with my boss's brother, like in the kids' playroom, because that's where the guest room was. And so like lines.
You're like, great, another one of my friends finding a decent man and not
Except
me.
for me. Yes, exactly. It didn't work out for them, but they did have a fun time. And it's just like, it was just this weird thing where the job is so intimate and it's so weird. And so like, you're constantly like in such close proximity with these people in really like I normally would never, like at my job now, if my boss was like, my male boss was like, come downstairs into the basement and watch Lost with me on the couch, I'd be like, where's HR? But there, it was just like, that was the norm. Like, that's what we're going to do. It was Friday night. It was, 11 p.m. Like, what else are we going to do? So definitely nothing like inappropriate or sexual, but boundaries were unclear for sure.
Okay. I mean, and lucky for you, I guess, I suppose. There no horror stories of
I have no horror stories there. No,
Okay.
Not in that. I did have one time over here when I was maybe like 23, 24. There was a woman who, very, very prominent name, and she only hired young nannies because she wanted like an internet young nanny. And I overheard in the bathroom at a restaurant tell one of her friends she hired me because she didn't think her husband would be interested. She was like, oh, I don't have to worry. And that was like at the age like so gutting. And like I probably should have been happy that like her husband wasn't going to hit on me, but it was like the worst.
You could view
possible
me
thing
as a
to
little
hear.
bit of a threat.
A little bit. It was literally like we hired her because there's no chance in hell.
It makes me sad. It reminds me of when like Corey Matthews like overhears like, no, I'm letting you date the daughter because you're safe.
Yes.
Well, I could, and then he's all like, I could be dangerous. Pops his little collar. He's just like, I could be a bad boy.
And it's just offensive. It
Yeah.
just makes you feel really bad. So that was probably.
I'm sorry none of your bosses tried to fuck you then. I guess I'm sorry to hear.
Well, I'm actually glad. I don't think. I mean, if I had to choose, as people always ask me this, be like, "Oh, would you ever have a threesome with my last bosses that I worked for?" And I was like, probably not a threesome. Like, if I had to choose one, I probably would have chosen my girl boss over the guy. So I don't think we were a threat to each other at all.
And Blaze wanted to know, was there a trait or attitude you subconsciously picked up from working with the ultra wealthy and their children? Did any of those affect your personal interactions or dating?
I mean, I think the thing I learned most is just to own it. Like, even if it, like when I go in for a job interview now, even if I'm like not fully qualified, I pretend. I just act like I'm really qualified. I mean, that's how I got my job now, honestly. And that's like what the wealthy do though, right? Like they just walk into a room and this is their room. Like they don't ever feel like they don't belong in the room. They never feel like afraid to ask for something. Like every ultra rich person I've ever interacted with feels entitled to whatever they're asking for. So I have tried, and I'm not that good at it because I definitely don't always feel that way. But if there's a moment I need to, like an interview, I try really hard to go in with that mindset because makes it a lot easier to feel confident, I guess, if you're entitled.
How could you, Stephanie, bring that into your dating life?
Well, I would have to first get on the dates. So, you know what? I actually think a little bit. I've started to do that. Like when I was in my early 30s, I would go on a date, and if I could tell they didn't like me, even if I didn't really like them, I would be like, wow, like kind of what I was talking about before. Like, do I not have enough to offer? And I think recently, in the last year, it's been the first time that when I've gone on a date, I've been like, oh, it's crazy if you aren't impressed with me, like that's on you, like that's okay, I don't care. And I do think that's part of kind of getting confidence and, you know, feeling as you grow up, you get a little stronger and you start to feel like you have value and worth. So I think I'm getting better at it, but I don't know if that growth's ever done.
They should be lucky that your profile showed up in their shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think I'm starting to have that. But it's, you know.
Well, when you fully embrace it is when you stop a dude in the middle of sex to be like, this ain't it.
Yeah, I guess that's how I'll know I've made it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to make that the bar.
I want that for you really badly. Okay. I sincerely say that. I'm not even joking around.
In a couple years and be like, hey, by the way.
If I didn't think it would have been weird to say, I was going to say, yes, I would love an email when you like, just after you kick them out, be like, yo, proceed it. I did it. I'll be like, fucking fist bump from Bushwick. I won't take 3 chains to come give it to you in person, but I'll just shout, hey, from Bushwick, fist bump. Good job.
And I'll feel it. Yeah. Come through the vibrations.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I am thinking, though, that there was someone that I was seeing for a bit. And so this is not a good example because I said I probably wouldn't say anything on the first one, but we'd had sex quite a few times. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, he was great in bed, but there was just like I kind of had to pee, and there's like a certain position that was like really, truly very painful. And I let it go on for like kind of a while. And finally I was like so meekly like, could we switch? And he was like, oh, do you not like this position? I was like, it just like kind of hurts. And he was like, oh, he was like, that's why your face looks like that. And I was like, okay, well, also on you, because like clearly you must have seen that I was not super comfortable, but yeah.
But like at least he cared.
He cared. He did.
The next step is to preempt and go, hey, I'm noticing, hey, is this comfortable for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes they're like, no, that's just like what my face looks like when I come. I'll be like, okay, just checking.
That's fine. But he was one of those guys that like, even if he finished and I didn't finish, he would make sure that like,
that's the guy, and that's the perfect guy to give feedback to. He clearly wants it. He's got blind spots. We all do. But he's like, if you give it to me, I'm neither going to do violence on you, nor am I just going to ignore it. He's like, I'll try.
Which is what we're hoping for.
Yes. Again, the bar, it's on the floor.
No violence effort.
Bar floor. It's so easy. It's so easy. Unless you're 5'7", I acknowledge probably a little more difficult.
A little more difficult.
Shout out to my short kings out there. But, I believe in you. Stephanie. Yeah. This was great.
This was so fun.
I mean, it was tragic in that like the dating and sex stories have been fairly on the negative side. I wish for better things for you and your pleasure. But in terms of podcasting.
I'm on a date right after this, actually. So, you know what? Maybe you're just going to give me, with all your sex wisdom, the good.
Please don't let me be the face of sex wisdom. Please. This shouldn't be the look.
I disagree. Got like 500 episodes on this. If you're not the Dumbledore of sex, who is?
Dumbledore sucks. I'm putting that on a thing. I'm gonna put that in little quotes. Okay. Well, I hope for better. So wait, real quick rundown. Where did we meet this one?
Hinge.
Okay.
42.
Height.
5'10". So
alleged.
He's alleged.
Is 5'10" a red flag thing to list? Like, is 5'10" one of those numbers where you're like, that actually could be anything?
It kind of could.
Okay.
It kind of could. Like
It's the 6 inches of heights where it's like, is it, or do you know how to measure?
Yeah.
You could be fudging.
Like you should put 5'11" I hope you don't end up back on the apps. You seem like a great girl, but if you do, I'd put 5'11". But I'll tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to get there, and like no matter what, we will be eye level.
Okay.
We will, because we are the same height.
Okay.
For sure.
And is employed?
He's employed. It says works at big tech, so that's a little vague, but
Vivek Ramaswamy is my spirit animal.
Well, sometimes I wonder if they like don't want to put it because they don't want to see, but like I almost think it seems douchier to put that. I want to take this back. I'm sorry. Okay. If I like you, I don't mean what I'm saying right now. It's fine, whatever. But if I don't like you, it's douchey.
And what is the date?
So we had matched a while ago and we had talked a bit. And then it was one of those things like he was in Germany and then I was, visiting my grandma. And then I just felt like it was going on too long.
Sure.
So I didn't answer his last 2 messages. But then he messaged me and we had talked about how I really liked the basketball player Caitlin Clark. I thought she was really good. And so he sent me a message after I ignored 2 and he was like, oh, hey, do you want to go on a date to the New York Liberty WNBA game on Tuesday night? And I thought, you know what? That was effort. Like, you thought about what I said I was interested in. You did you got my attention with the date. And also, like, you have to buy tickets for it. It's a whole thing. So
It's a bit of a left of center politically date idea also.
it kind of, like, honestly, I thought that myself. I was like, I made a joke. I was like, oh, you got to get a New York Liberty shirt. And he goes, oh, I already have a hat. And I was like, I like that.
What
like
Republican man has WNBA gear at home?
So he's kind of hitting all the marks so far, but that means nothing. So we'll see.
You have the book. Tell us a little bit about the book, and then when they can where they can go to find you and follow you.
Yeah. So Wanted Toddler's Personal Assistant is the story of how I spent my 20s nannying for the 1% after accumulating a bunch of first generation student debt. It's sort of a back and forth between my childhood and these really, privileged childhoods of the kids I was raising. And you can pre-order it on Amazon. You can buy it at Barnes & Nobles or your local bookstore, Target, on August 6th. Oh, yeah. And you can add me on Instagram. I'm at Steffi Kiser, STEPHYKISER. I don't have, too many followers, so I didn't even consider it. It's just, honestly,
it means people
friends.
Go follow. Go hit the buttons.
There's
Smash
4
stuff.
of you. You'll be among friends.
Yeah, I like how it was, and my book, it's about nannying for the ultra wealthy. It's like, it's obvious fit for the Man Whore podcast.
You know what? I honestly, when the publicist said this,
I just want to say, you were a fit, and I'll say why after, but you continue.
No, I just kind of thought, I was like, I want the microphone to talk about my dates, obviously, as you could tell. But I was like, this was the first one that came to mind for you guys. When the publishing team was doing this, they were like, Man Whore.
Yes, everyone forgets the my subtitle, which I know. It's just sex positive conversation. Sometimes I think that should just be the title.
Well, yes. No, I think Man Whore's very catchy. You should leave it, but I guess we did have a sex positive conversation.
Yes, we did.
It was quite negative.
I think we did. No, I think this was good.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sex positive conversation about negative sex.
Oh, okay.
No, you were great because I told the publicist, and I've told her before. I've had her other clients on. She doesn't just need to only pitch me the sex book coach people. Yeah. Right? Like, if someone has an interesting dating life or is open about sexuality or has an interesting gender journey, like, they're a good fit for the show. And so, I want more of that. It doesn't. I don't want everyone who coming on with a sex book. I want people with a book like yours, and then we're just talking about your dating life. And then at the end, we say, you go buy Wanted.
Yes, exactly.
There's a link in the notes. If it makes you feel better, if you go through the link I put in the notes, I get a little taste on the back end because we love bookshop.org.
Oh, well then go that way.
So go do it. But go buy the book. You liked her. I liked her. You'll like the book.
And if you don't like the book, you can ask me on a date if you fit the bill.
Wow, I like this challenge. But in the email you have to put, or in the DM you have to have a picture, a selfie of you, because now it has to be a selfie. Otherwise you could fake it. It has to be a selfie of you with the book.
Okay.
And say, look, I didn't like the book, but I liked you on the pod.
Okay.
Let's go get, what was it? Pad Sue? Let's go get some Pad Sue.
No, let's not do Pad Sue again.
It's called, it's Pad Sue?
Pad Sue. Have you not had Pad Sue?
I ate it for the first time in February.
Okay. Did you not like it? Because it's weird that you remember the exact month.
I was having dinner with a couple sex coaches, and they pushed me outside my comfort zone because I don't normally eat Asian food. But I ate Pad Thai and Pad Siu for the first time.
Okay.
And I was like in the commercials, like, oh, hey, Mikey, he likes it.
Would you order it again on your own?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Probably if there was another woman on a date with me, because I would do it more to show her I can eat adult food.
Okay.
Because
girl in LA, you hear that? He wants to go out for Thai.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the little shout out to LA lady. Stephanie, this was great. This was fun.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
And why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
All right. Bye, guys.
The best place to discuss this week's show is in the episode discussion channel in the Champagne Room. The Champagne Room is our super free, super fun, super sex positive Discord server. And if you've never tried Discord before, you're going to be like me. You're going to finally get on it and go, why have I not been on here for forever? It's like Facebook meets Reddit without all the anti-Semitism. It's a great space. And we have an awesome free server you can jump into to share your thoughts about the show. You can also jump into any of our other channels about wellness, about movies, about fashion, dating, kink, all of that. We even have an entire channel dedicated to sharing sex stories right after you do them. Make some friends today at manwhorepod.com/Discord or click the link in the schnotes. You can always email me your comments, your questions, your criticisms, your booby pictures to manwhorepod@gmail.com. Want to come see me do some stand-up comedy? You can check my dates at manwhorepod.com. You can also pick up some Man Whore Podcast merch. Tonight in Brooklyn, I'm going to be at Secret Pour at 7:30. Free show. The next Naked show is August 22nd. August 10th, I'm going to be somewhere in Virginia again. I forget the name of the town already, but just go to manwhorepod.com and you can find all that information. And of course, the best way you can support the Man Whore Podcast, the best way to enjoy a slew of bonus content, extra audio, is on Patreon. Membership begins at just $3 a month, and there's still an annual membership discount. You get 2 months off if you pay it all up front at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That annual membership discount, that's going to evaporate at the end of July. Take advantage of it soon, or just sign up for the monthly at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Camelot in my mouth. Just wanted to say it again in case I cut it out of the intro. Get those shoulder pads on, everybody. Let's start shimmying and shaking and staying slutty. Ha ha!